When you open Joule, this is what the screen looks like. You have the option now to load in data that has been processed with brain analysis. I'm going to click Load QEEG Joule Report. And now I'm going to go into my Studies folder. And I'm going to pick out a client. This was eyes open, adult, and I'm going to put down initials, which will appear on the report. I now have a choice of clicking basic or advanced. We're going to start with basic because this is designed for the new user who just simply is unaware or uncertain about what to do. So we are loading this report in the basic mode. And what are we seeing? We are seeing QEEG Pro Z-scores broken down into 9 heads. And if we wish, we can look at Joule's database as well, broken down into 15 heads. We have 2 options for observation. Let's go back to QEEG Pro, which is our first interest, and let's pick out some symptoms. So the symptoms are organized by headings. So for example, let's say we chose mood. And let's say this client has post-traumatic stress disorder. If we look at post-traumatic stress disorder output, we notice the training heads indicate sites on the brain that may likely contribute to this symptom. But now let's choose another symptom. Let's choose an academic symptom, such as math. We just chose math. So now we have a client, and we've chosen PTSD and math, and now we'd like to train them. So we're going to scroll down and click Create Protocols and Report. So now into the client's QEEG folder, the folder we use to acquire the data and process it and put our XML analysis file, we now have a report, a complete report. And here's our client's name, the fact they're an adult, the average Z-score, the 2 symptoms we chose, and in this report is a brief explanation of QEEG, an explanation of each of the prominent lobes of the brain, and as you can see, there's no connectivity problem, so nothing is reported. Here is a flow of data that indicates the dominant rhythm of the brain. Here's the flow of data in Z-scores, and the peak Z-score is noted, which would be FZ at 15 Hertz. And these are likely, but not definite symptoms that may go along with 15 Hertz beta at FZ. Now we're looking at asymmetry, and you can see the asymmetries are very mild, but look at ratio. The ratios show a very high amount of beta. So there's a high a low theta to beta ratio indicating anxiety. And notice what it says. Ratio heads that are negative blue suggest anxiety, worry, or insomnia. It certainly fits this client. Here is our training heads, and we'll notice the concern is in fast wave activity, and there are no issues with slow waves. And here are the 15 Joule heads. Here is Joule's coherence bands to look at. And here's a summary. So now we have a report on PTSD. It defines it. It gives you the basic neurological areas of the brain, typical neurofeedback interventions, and homework. And under math, which is completely different, again, we have a definition of dyscalculia, the neurology that's involved, neurofeedback interventions, and homework as well. If we scroll down the report, We see S. Loretta, which I happen to own. So I do have the S. Loretta upgrade. And here are the areas, regions of interest that correspond to the 2 symptoms that I chose. And here's a QEEG Pro review. But there is more. So if we close this report, we'll notice there are protocols. Protocols for PTSD and protocols for math. So for example, let's say our first concern was math. How would we operate or work with this protocol? I'll click once, I'll click again, I'll copy the name, I'll double click on the protocol, I'll open up BrainAvatar. So it's opening up automatically. Create a new study with these settings. And now BrainAvatar is open. So we'll put down KH, which is our client's name, and then we'll paste in the protocol that we just created. And I'll click OK, create with current settings, and we'll put in the age of the client. And she is a female, of course. And then I'll just click use settings and close. And I am now ready to do Z-score training with QEEG Pro Z-scores. Now, if I wanted to, I could have run either one of these 2 protocols, which are dual Z-score training. And these are the options that the new person has. They have a complete report, they have protocols that they can run, and they can begin training their client immediately. And that is the end of the basic review. So we have a simplified panel where we can choose protocols. And we also have a slider so that we can identify the hottest sites for Z-score training if we want to see it in advance. We also have the option to delete sites from the training. So if I deleted these 2 sites, then 4 other hot sites would come up. And that would change the Z-score training protocol. We see we have a nice color bar chart, which helps the user to understand what is a high Z-score and what is a low Z-score. We also have the option to click train to map. And let's go and uncheck those. And if I click on map-based protocol, what's nice about this option is that we are now training simply to the entire head. And we are not thinking about any symptom. We're just thinking about the hottest areas of the brain, and that's what will be trained. So this is the end of our review of basic. Now let's do the same exact client with advanced.